Looking forward to playing Oregon this week. Good football team. Team really starting to gel and play at a high level. I think they've really improved as the season's worn on. I think they're probably playing their best football right now, so it'll be a big challenge for us. Guys are excited to play against a really good team, and I know we're going to have to play well to give ourselves an opportunity to win. But looking forward to the challenge and excited about playing at Levi Stadium on Friday night, and think it'll be a great atmosphere, and I think it'll be a good experience for our players.
Sonny, before we jump ahead to this week, can we look at the last the play you guys called against UCLA? You had the ball at the 37 with a minute to go, and I think a timeout left. Mm-hmm. What was your thought process on throwing the ball deep rather than trying to maybe get 10 or 12 yards over the middle and set up a field goal?
Yeah, that's a play we run a lot during games, and it's a play that more often than not they're in a two-man look. Thought they'd be in a two-man look, kind of guessed right on the coverage. Versus that particular coverage, normally we're going to read it inside out. So the inside routes are going to be more shallow routes. Jared saw press outside, which we had told him if he got pressed, the entire game to take advantage of that situation. The corner bailed before the snap, and he threw it out there, and the guy made a nice play on the ball. It's like all our pass plays. There's 5 reads, and so he threw to one of the 5 reads.
Sonny, you guys outscored opponents 56-0 in the first quarter over the first 3 games. Been outscored 52-7 in the first quarter over the past 4. You have any idea what's changed?
I think obviously the level of competition's better. I think is the one thing. We just haven't gotten off to a fast start. Need to. That's going to be important for us to do that against Oregon. So we just got to do a better job of starting faster.
Talk about the offensive line. Sounds like Chris maybe will be back this week, and how important he is to making sure that group can.
Yeah, it's good to get Chris back. He kind of solidifies things for us up front. One of the leaders of the group, certainly, and physical football player, plays really hard. So anytime he's not in there playing, you miss his physical presence and his leadership and toughness. So it'll be good to get him back. We've stayed pretty healthy up front this year, and I think the guys have played well and just got to continue to improve and get better.
What do you remember about the weather conditions at the start of the game last year at Oregon? You guys couldn't hold on the ball, obviously, early on, and how excited are you guys to see what you can do against them when you have a normal weather condition?
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of connection between last year and this year in terms of, how we played or any of that kind of thing. I mean, obviously last year was a disaster, and hopefully we'll play better this year and anticipate playing better. I don't think we're going to have those kind of weather conditions Friday night. But, you never know. If we do, hopefully we'll react better to it than we did last year.
How hard was that on Jared? He'd had a lot of success, and all of a sudden he had nothing to work.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough on everybody. I mean, it was a tough experience, and certainly not one of our best nights.
Oregon's averaging, I think, almost 3 sacks a game. What kind of problems do they present up front?
Well, they're good athletes. They're long. If you look at their roster, all their guys are tall, rangy type guys. That are good athletes, good pass rushers. A little bit different than some of the teams. Well, really, the last 2 teams we've played in terms of the way they play inside. Washington and UCLA were more of a bull rush, penetrate defense, where Oregon is a little bit different. They do a good job with their hands. They do a lot of line movement. Lines constantly moving and play a lot of games with their defensive line. But they've got good speed coming off the edge. Linebackers are good pass rushers as well. The outside linebackers. Are guys that when they get on backs or tackles, sometimes just beat them with their athleticism. So it's a little bit different, challenge this week just with the technique that they play, interior wise, but still will be a big challenge for us.
Sonny, you were talking earlier about fast starts, the difference earlier in the year to now. How much has that affected your ability to run the ball as effectively as you maybe have wanted to?
Well, we kept trying to run the ball last week. We ran it 31 times, I think, and just, we didn't get we didn't pop any long runs, and we'd been doing that pretty consistently prior to that. So that hurt our average and yardage. And, again, we've played Washington's a really good defensive front. That's the strength of their defense. UCLA is really a good front seven. So those teams are a little bit more difficult to run it against in terms of the way we run the football. But we're going to need to run it against Oregon. I mean, it's going to be important for us to establish some kind of run game and to be able to execute and get some runs.
Coach, you've got a good young quarterback in Jared Goff, but you're playing obviously one of the best in the country this week. Can you compare and contrast the two in their style, their skill set, and what you're asking these guys to do?
Yeah, they're different. I mean, Mariota's a pretty unique talent just in terms of size and speed. You just don't see many guys that are 6'4" and 220 that can run like he can run. Don't know that I've ever seen one really. He's just kind of a unique talent that way. He does a nice job throwing the football too, though. He makes good decisions. Takes care of the ball well, as is evidenced by he hadn't thrown a touchdown all year, an interception all year. And so he's, really does a nice job of taking what the defense gives him. He's one of those guys that when he doesn't run a lot, but when he picks his spots, he's very effective running the football and makes a lot of big plays. And people have a hard time, getting him on the ground because he's that combination of strength and speed that not many people have. Jared's different, kind of designed different. Jared's more of a traditional pocket passer quarterback, I think. Jared probably moves better than he gets credit for, but that's not necessarily his forte. Physically still developing. I think Jared's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and going to continue to get better and better. So I think he's still, just on the verge of becoming as good as he's going to be. I think, two different styles of offense. Passing games are a little bit different, and some of the things we ask him to do in terms of going through reads and that type of thing. So, said it before, believe it. I think Mariota's the best player in college football. I mean, I really do. I don't think there's anybody that means more to their team than he does. I think he's, like I said, a pretty unique talent.
Sonny, what's been your impressions of their freshman running back, Royce Freeman? He's a load, it looks like.
Yeah, he's a big, powerful running back. Yeah, he's a guy that we saw him in high school, tried to recruit him. Liked him on tape, just a strong, powerful kid. He's, load to tackle, and he moves around pretty good for a guy that's got his size. Can be elusive, but is more of a powerful downhill runner.
Playing a guy like Mariota, who can obviously put up big numbers, what kind of challenge does that pose for your pass defense that's looked iffy at times?
Yeah, well, it's it's a unique, when you play them, it's a unique preparation because you've got to account for him being able to run the football. And then, it becomes a really simple game. I mean, if you're going to stick 5 in the box, they're going to run it, and you stick 6 in the box, then depending on their formation, they're going to outnumber you outside and throw screens. And then if you try to roll down, they're going to throw verticals. And so it just becomes a kind of a cat and mouse game. And so what you have to do is try to not line up in the same place all the time, where they know exactly what you're doing and where you're coming from, and the biggest thing is you've got to, they're going to create space in their offense. It's what they do by, throwing wide receiver screens and making you run horizontally, and then, getting the ball down the field on play action and throwing verticals and, switch verticals and all the stuff that they do. And so it puts just a lot of pressure on your defense because, when you give up one of those passes, it's to a really fast guy a lot of times. They have a lot of speed at wide receiver, and they end up being big plays. And that's the thing that Oregon will do is they'll, you can't just let them big play you to death because they will.
Wide receiver screens seem like something that's kind of given you guys some problems so far. What do you think the issue has been with those, and is it something that seems like you'd have to address against Oregon? Yeah,
we got to do a good job getting off blocks and tackling. I mean, it's really simple. Just got to get off the block and got to make the tackle.
Do you have a sense of when you might get Brendan Scarlett back? Is it weeks away still, or soon, or how serious is his injury?
Yeah, it's still kind of figuring all that out. Not going to have him this week, and then, I'm hoping here quickly we'll have a better sense of how long it's going to be.
Okay, any further questions for Sonny?
You do expect Chris Harper back?
We expect him to practice today, and see how he progresses through the week.